GDP is defined as the market value of all final goods and services produced within a country for a given period of time. So let's start by defining some of these terms. Firstly, for a given period of time, essentially this means we need to establish a time frame for which to determine how much is actually produced. Value and quantity can fluctuate over time, so we need to specify a duration for which we are measuring. Within a country simply means that borders determine GDP, so whatever is produced within a country will count towards its GDP regardless of the nationality of the person who produced it. That's how we distinguish from GDP and GNP, gross national production. All final goods and services simply means we will only take the value of final products. So if a product was used to create another product, this will not be counted. If so, this can lead to a double or triple counting error. And similarly with time, we need a unit of measurement to compare the values of products. Therefore, we consider the value of goods in market currencies. Let's take this hypothetical economy, for example. We have 1,000 tons of wheat valued at $50 per ton. The market value of wheat is $50,000. This is just the price multiplied by quantity. There's 500 toys valued at $20 per toy. The market value of toys is $10,000. And finally, we have 1,000 pairs of socks valued at $2 per pair. The market value of socks is $2,000. The GDP is the sum of these three market values. Therefore, GDP is equal to $62,000. There are three ways to measure for GDP: value added method, expenditure method, and income method. The value added method is the sum of all added values at different stages of production. Production usually takes place in stages, and the output of one stage could be used as an input for another stage. We have two goods, intermediate and final goods. Intermediate goods are used as inputs in the manufacturing of another good, so things like cotton, wheat, or plastic. And final goods are used for final consumption, so things like clothes and cars. Let's take this example here. This is an economy with two final goods, bread and clothes. To produce bread, a farmer will sell wheat at an initial value of $200. A miller will purchase the wheat and produce flour, which he will sell for $350. Finally, a baker will purchase the flour and produce $600 worth of bread, which will be bought by consumers. To calculate GDP, we will not add 200 plus 350 plus 600. Instead, we will take the value added at each stage of production. This will be 200 plus 150 plus 250. Similarly, for the production of clothing, we will only consider the values added at each stage of production. So that will be 100 plus 200 plus 400. If you check the values, this will be equal to the value of the final goods. So 600 for the bread and 700 for the clothes. Final goods, as you can see, already include the value of all intermediate goods. Therefore, adding the intermediate goods will overestimate GDP, which can lead to the double counting problem. GDP will be calculated from the value of the final goods, which is $1,300. So this is our formula for value added. Added values are also distributed to people in various kinds of income. So if $1,000 of wheat is used to produce $1,500 worth of flour, that value added, that $500 will be distributed amongst employees and the owner as income. We'll get into the expenditure method. The GDP here is total spending in the economy. There are four factors: final consumption, which is personal spending, gross fixed capital, which is spending for capital goods such as buildings or machinery, inventory investment, which is spending on unused final and intermediate goods, and net exports, which is exports minus imports. You can also use this formula to calculate. Finally, there's the income method. So the income method calculates GDP as total income in the economy. Again, there are four factors. So compensation, which is measured in wages, salaries, and social contributions. Gross operating surplus, which is net operating surplus, which is equal to profits and consumption of capital, or in other words, depreciation. We have gross mixed income, which is small business income, and taxes minus subsidies. So taxes that are paid by workers and businesses minus subsidies provided by the government towards these businesses. The older method uses factors, inputs, and transfers them into factor payments, which are incomes. This can be calculated using this formula. So let's recap. Values added method measures GDP through the sum of added values through different stages of production. Expenditure method measures GDP through total spending in the economy. Income method measures GDP through total incomes received within the economy. GDP will not change since there's only one GDP value, so using any of these methods will get you the same result.